Good morning. Welcome to Unity of the White Mountains. We're so glad you're here today, and let me introduce our musicians, Shari on the piano and Mary Kay on the bass. Let's give them a big hand. And if this is your first time with us, please, if you haven't gotten a packet, raise your hand and we'll have someone bring you a packet. There's someone over here that needs a packet. And please fill out the card in front, and thank you for coming, and stay for a little while afterwards. Get to meet us. Oh, right over here, yes. And now with our hearts open, I say namaste. Welcome home, and let's get started in a consciousness of oneness. I invite you to close your outer eyes and take in a deep cleansing breath. And we say, loving Spirit, we open our hearts to you in this moment of stillness. We lay down the old stories of fear, lack, and limitation, and we turn towards the truth of your presence within us. Here and now, we remember that we and all people are created in your image, whole, beloved, and free. Guide us as we listen, learn, and allow our inner narrative to be rewritten by your love. And we say, thank you, God. Amen. And now I invite you to stand if you're able as we sing together, your soul, our soul, my soul is welcome here.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 My soul is welcome here.
And while you're standing, please turn to your neighbor and say namaste. You may be seated. And now I call Joy Beaver up to the stand to say our announcements. And let's give her a big hand. Thank you, Joy, for the picnic last week. It was fabulous.
Do you know who I am? If not, we
Thank you, Joy.
Okay, today we're having meditation. Who's the lead in meditation?
Sherry.
Okay, Sherry's going to be leading meditation. Please join the small purpose room. Pet Blessing's going to be October 4th. I've already started working on it. We already have a girl to come do agility. Another gal is going to come and teach you how to train your dog, how to do the proper training, how to care for your dog. And I'm working with Pet Allies for them to come again this year so they can help people how to license a dog, why you license your dog, why you get them vaccinated. So we're working on it.
Yay.
We're going to do the poetry again.
We're going to do the poetry again.
November 4th at 4 o'clock. Who did a poetry before? Storytelling and poetry? Good. Okay, we're going to ramp it back up. And who's in charge of that?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Lori, I think.
Okay. The Rhine River Cruise, October 26th. I'm going. So sign up if you want to go. Also, we need people to sign up to be greeters. There's a board back there, so please sign up for our Sunday for a greeter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joy. And what a wonderful picnic it was last week. Thank you, Joy. And also, let us thank our Volunteer of the Month, Carol Fogo. And remember that if you're ever wondering what's going on, go to our fantastic website, thank you, Doug, and just go to our calendar. It'll tell you all that you need to know. And also like us on Facebook. And now it's time for our daily word.
Thank you, Reverend Cheryl. I'm Linda Hoy, Prayer Chaplain Coordinator. Hi. And we're so warm and friendly here, so loving. So I would like to remind you, if you need a prayer chaplain, please get in touch with me. And let's talk about prayer. Let's build the prayer power in this church. Also, I'd like to remind all of the prayer chaplains, I'd like to have a brief meeting back in our beloved corner. So right after church, we're going to meet. So let's go to the inspiration of also, if you have a prayer request, you can always call Reverend Cheryl, and she will get that to me, and that will be sent to the prayer team. So we love to pray for you. So our daily word for today is world peace. And our affirmation is, I bless the world with thoughts of peace. The word shalom is synonymous with world peace, but it means more than an absence of war and conflict. Shalom, appearing so frequently in the Bible, is also used to affirm wholeness and well-being. True, lasting well-being requires the kind of peace known by living in alignment with God. Anchored in peace, people are less likely to be in conflict and more likely to appreciate that beautiful planet Earth, what planet Earth offers, the goodness and the abundance for all. When I pray for a peaceful world, I pray shalom for myself and for each person of every land to have their needs met and to know lasting well-being for themselves and their families, to live in harmony and to work toward our common good. And from James chapter 3, verse 15, and a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace for those who make peace. And let's share together today's affirmation. I bless the world with thoughts of peace.
Every morning the light keeps getting brighter as I wake up to the truth. And every day I'm feeling so much lighter, and the world seems fresh and new. What I was taught and the way that I thought stopped serving me long ago. Now I'm learning to trust and the God of all of us. Each day I start anew, and so I'm walking away from the thinking that held me for so long. Today is the day I walk away. I'm walking away from the past that led me to confusion. Today is the day I walk away. I'm walking away from the thinking that held me for so long. Today is the day I walk away. I'm walking away from the past that led me to such sadness. Today is the day I walk away. Every day I walk away. Every morning brings a new beginning. By grace, another day. I awaken to the sun upon me shining, like the way for me to see. All the things that I sought and the way that I thought stopped serving me long ago. Now I'm learning to trust in the God of all of us. Of yesterday I'm letting go. I'm walking away from the thinking that held me for so long. Today is the day I walk away. Walking away from the past that led me to confusion. Today is the day I walk away. I'm walking away from the thinking that held me for so long. Today is the day I walk away. I'm walking away from the past that led me to such sadness. Today is the day I walk away. Every day I walk away. Today I walk away.
Thank you. Very nice. Very nice. So today I'm going to recycle an old joke. If you know it, no punchline. But there's a reason for that you'll find out later. And it's about Jack and Bob, his buddy, who decided to go on a ski vacation for the weekend. So they pack up the car and they start driving towards the ski slope. But lo and behold, they hit this horrible, horrible blizzard. So they see some lights up in front of them, and they stop, and it's an old farmhouse. They go up to the farmhouse and knock on the door, and the door opens, and of course, it's a beautiful woman. And the two looked at her and said, "Listen, we're in a blizzard. Is it okay if we stay here overnight?" And the beautiful young lady said, "Well, I know I'm in this house all by myself, but I'm recently widowed. If you stay in my house, the neighbors are going to talk." They said, "Don't worry about it. We see you have a barn over here. We'll go sleep in the barn, and as soon as the blizzard's over and at the crack of dawn, we'll be out of here." And so she said, "Okay." And so that's what they did. They went to the barn, crack of dawn, they get up, and they head towards the ski slope, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. But 9 months later, Jack gets a letter in the mail from an attorney. He's trying to figure out what this is all about and who it's from. And finally, he realizes it's from that widow that they had spent the night in their barn. So he goes to Bob, who is in the office next to him, and said, Bob, I have a couple of questions for you. And he said, okay. And he says, do you remember that time that we went skiing and we stayed at the barn at that widow's house? And Bob says, yeah. And he says, well, did you happen to pay her a little visit in the middle of the night? And Bob said, yeah, buddy, I guess I did. And Jack said, well, did you happen to give her my name for you? And Bob's face got really red and said, yeah, Jack, I'm sorry, but yeah, I did. But why do you ask? And Jack said, well, I just got a letter from her attorney, and she left me everything. She died. Surprise, surprise. And I use that joke again because it is such a perfect example of what we're talking about today. It's a perfect example of how our minds go to town and they start working on this story. How is this going to end? What does this mean? What does 9 months mean? We all thought she was pregnant, didn't we? But these kinds of stories that we make up, and we do it all the time, they can have consequences, and they do have consequences on our life. And just think about how much of our life is made up of these stories that we tell about ourselves, about our world, about our friends, and about what other people think about us, and about what's going to happen in the future. But oftentimes, these stories in our head, they repeat over and over again. And they give us a sense of foreboding. They give us a sense of fear. And also, they keep our thoughts going on that negative pattern. Now, we all know about our third principle. We are co-creators with God, creating our reality through mind. And when we're in our stories, we're actually creating reality. So we can do it in a good way or in a very negative way. James Allen, who wrote As a Man Thinketh, I love this. The soul attracts that which it secretly harbors, that which it loves, and also that which it fears. And the Buddha said, what we think, we become. So today, let me invite you to take a deeper look at the stories that you're telling yourself. These stories are very powerful in our lives. They can limit us, they can confine us, or they can free us. And best of all, we can edit them. I love that. And rewriting this inner story, the inner narrative that we have that's constantly going on in our brains, is one of the most radical and compassionate acts that we can do for ourselves. So we all make up stories. In fact, our brains are designed to make up these stories. And what the brain uses with these stories is material from our subconscious. Now, our subconscious has in it our fears, our doubts, our old memories. So the story that we create usually is a lot darker than reality, isn't it? Just think, worst case scenario. Especially parents. Think about something like if your kid's home late or isn't home yet. Oh, where can the brain go? It can go, oh, got kidnapped, or this happened, an accident, this or that. And you see how we just go around, we keep circling around and around till we go down that rabbit hole. I remember the time when I was working as an engineer, and my boss called me into his office. Now, I had just completed my master's degree, and it was in engineering management. Well, my boss proceeded to tell me this wonderful, devious plan I had to take his job. And it was very good, but it wasn't mine. And when he was finished, he sat back on his desk and he says, well, now what do you have to say for yourself? Because he believed this story. And all I could think of was to say, okay, I have a kid, I'm going to school at night, and I work 8 hours a day. When do I have time to make up these ideas about you and taking your job? And what he didn't know is that I was already making a career shift. But think about it. Think about how many hours he probably stayed up at night worrying about this. And to this day, he probably believes that's what I was up to. How much time do we waste in these stories that aren't even true? And that's the power and also the danger in these stories that we make up. We believe them, and then we act out on them. And we spend all of that time in worry and fear. Don Miguel Ruiz in the Four Agreements said that 95% of what we believe is actually untrue. 95% of it. Think about this. And there's a book called The 3 Steps of Mindfulness. And Kip Rido, who is the author, he says that what he calls this is storyland. That when we are not living in the present, when we are not here, right here, mindful and free of judgments. Remember last week we talked about active listening and how that means letting go of any ideas or judgments. He says when we're in that place, when we're making up stories, filling in the blanks, we're in something called storyland. Now, storyland is very subjective. Storyland is made up of our likes and our dislikes, our opinions, which we all have them, our hopes and fears, and also our judgments. So when we're in storyland, we are judging. We are filling in the blanks of the story that we're hearing or the story we're making up in our heads. Another thing to remember about storyland, and I know I'm in storyland when I get that feeling right here, that feeling of uneasiness and uncomfort, that feeling of worry, because it's emotional. Storyland is made up of our feelings. It is also very abstract. It is coming from our imagination. Now, many of you know imagination is one of our 12 powers. In fact, it's right up over there. And as with all of our 12 powers, we can use them in a positive or a negative way. And when we use our imagination in a negative way, it pulls us down to a lower vibration. It pulls us down to our ego. It pulls us down to a consciousness of fear. And anytime that we're making up a story, we're using our imagination in a negative way. But when we use our imagination from a higher vibration, from our divine nature, then it only can come out as compassion and love and wisdom. There's a story from the Buddhist tradition, and of course I can't pronounce the name, but it's Anugula Lama. Anyway, this person was a feared bandit. In fact, his name means necklace of fingers, because he wore a necklace of fingers of his victims. Yeah, really. But he lived in the forest, and the villagers hated him, and they feared him. But one day the Buddha was out walking after his dinner, and he ran across this man. And this man just went up to the Buddha, and he felt that compassion and that love. The Buddha did not see him as someone who terrorized the village. He did not see him as a bandit or a bad person. He saw his divine nature. And as soon as he did, that man created a new story in him. In fact, he became a monk and became enlightened. But it was just that consciousness of the Buddha, of love, of no judgment, of seeing his true divine nature that helped that man to change his story. The world saw him as a criminal, but the Buddha saw him as a sage, as a divine being. And it changed his entire life. In the Gospel of John, and I love this story because Jesus meets a Samaritan woman at the well. A Samaritan woman, that's important because they, during that time in that culture, they considered Samaritans unclean. And Jesus, as a rabbi, wasn't even supposed to acknowledge her, much less sit down next to her and listen to her. And when he listened to her, and when he saw her, not as a Samaritan, and not as a single woman, that's another thing, rabbis aren't supposed to talk to single women, but he didn't see any of those things. He saw her divine nature. He saw her desire, her need to know more, to have a deeper understanding of the God of her being. And it changed her whole life. And when we encounter that kind of divine love that sees through whatever our failings are, sees through whatever it is that we're going through, circumstances, and sees our divine nature, that changes us, doesn't it? The stories that we create in our minds create our reality. They create what we experience. And think of the stories that you have about yourself. Do you have the stories of, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy? If we have those stories, then we act that way, like we're not worthy. I've taken up pickleball, and it's a lot harder than it looks. But I have someone that's training me in pickleball. And so as I'm trying to play, I said one time, oh, I'm just a clumsy person. And the person training me said, you're not clumsy. And I looked at him, and he said, you're not clumsy. And I thought about that, how I was just repeating one of my stories about myself. I said, I'm clumsy. So as I thought about that, I thought, okay, I'm going to change the story. I really like what I'm doing here. This is good. I can do this. I'm focused. I can do this. And you know what? My game has changed. Imagine that. One of my favorite spiritual guides is Albert Einstein. And he put it this way. He said, all conditions and all circumstances in our lives are a result of a certain level of thinking. If we want to change the conditions and circumstances, we have to change the level of thinking that is responsible for it. We cannot change our lives from the same level of thinking that put us where we are right now. We can't. The only consciousness that will change those stories is a consciousness of truth, of love, of knowing that we are a wonderful, perfect creation of God. We are created of love. That's who we really are. And when we claim that, we find a new power. And we act in love, out of love, no longer out of fear or the sense of unworthiness. That's all lower vibration stuff. We may not be able to control what happens to us, but we can choose the story that we have about it. The Buddha talks about 2 arrows. The first arrow, and remember, Buddhists believe that life is suffering, is life's unavoidable pain, loss, disappointment, illness. So that's the first arrow that wounds us. The second arrow that wounds us is our story about this wound, about crises, things that we went through, about other people. That is what wounds us secondly. And he says, just remember that second arrow is optional. We decide our story. We decide how we look back on things that we've been through, whether it was a positive or a negative in our life, and how it affected us. We get to create that story. So how do we do that? Well, Unity talks about denials and affirmations. A denial is saying, this thought, this idea I have of myself, it doesn't have any power over me. This idea that I am clumsy no longer has any power over me. And then we follow it up with an affirmation. I am graceful. Yes, thank you. Oh, you guys are very affirmative, thank you. But you see how this works. Denials and affirmations. Also, let's look at some ways that we can take a look at these stories. And the first one that we need to do is notice that this is a story. We are making up a story. So whenever we feel that little feeling in our stomach, we need to take a look at it and say, okay, what am I telling myself about this? Am I telling myself that I have this to fear because this is going to happen in the future? And am I telling myself that I'm not good enough to do this? What am I telling myself? So the first step is always becoming aware of what you're thinking. And then the next step is question the story. Is this kind? Is this true? Is this in alignment with what I know in my spiritual life? And I love Byron Katie's The Work. Have you done that? That's incredible. That changed my life. Because it's simply asking, when you notice a story, you ask yourself, is this true? And then when you're done, because often we say, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's true. They're up to that. But then we ask ourselves, do we absolutely know it's true? And 95% of the time, we don't. I tell people, when they say, well, this other person is thinking that, oh, can you read minds? And when people say, this is going to happen, oh, are you a prophet? Can you see ahead? Because all of us think we can, don't we? We know what other people are thinking about us. We know what's going to happen. We don't. And as soon as we release that idea that we know, then everything all of those stories just crumble. Because we don't know them to be true. And we're much happier. That person may think we're a jerk, but that's okay because we don't know, do we? So it's letting go of all of these attachments that we have, all of these ideas that we think we know, because we don't. We don't know that it's true. So question your story. Can I absolutely be sure that this is true? And then we invite a new story, spirit story, our highest nature story. If we're coming from that highest vibration, well, what does that mean about our story? Well, basically, that all things are in divine order. We can overcome anything. We have the wisdom, the strength, the power, the love to overcome anything. That's the truth. So we change the story. We find a story that lifts us up, that empowers us. And then we practice this new story. If we hear ourselves repeating the old story to other people, we stop ourselves. No, this is the truth about who I am. And then rehearse that story over and over. Whenever that little critical voice comes up and says, oh, there you are, clumsy again. No, that's not the truth about me. So practice that new story. And as we rewrite these personal stories, we contribute to rewriting the collective story. In fact, we give other people permission to rewrite their stories. Now, and imagine if enough of us gave up our stories that our country is divided, that our country is going down the wrong path, that there's fear and there's lack. Imagine if we gave up that story and instead had the story of, it's all in divine order. My daily affirmation is that all of humanity and our planet is rising up together in a consciousness of oneness and love and generosity and wisdom as we heal ourselves, each other, and our planet. That is my daily narrative that I'm putting in my brain. So when those ideas of fear and like, oh no, here we go again, comes up, I repeat that. We are rising together in a consciousness of oneness. The Dalai Lama said, just as ripples spread out when a single pebble is dropped into the water, the actions of individuals have far-reaching effects. And each new story that we live, that we practice, it ripples out. Just like in a lake, it ripples out to bless everyone. There's a Sufi tale, and a wise man who told his students this: between stimulus and response, there's a story. Think about that. We make up our story between that stimulus and response. And in that story lies your suffering or your freedom. Choose your story wisely. Well, today I invite you to choose your stories wisely. And please repeat this affirmation with me together. I release old stories. I claim the truth of spirit. I am whole. I am loved. I am free. And so it is. And let us take these words into a time of meditation and silence. I invite you to close your outer eyes and take a deep breath in. And slowly allow that breath to escape your lungs. Become aware of that breath. Let your shoulders drop, your jaw soften, and set aside any of the concerns of the day, and let your mind settle in the silence. And now I invite you to bring to mind a story that you've been carrying. It could be a story about yourself, about another person, or about life in general. It could be a story of not being enough, of fear, or regret, or lack. But whatever the story is, notice it gently, without any judgment. Just acknowledge, this is the story I've been telling. And now feel where this story lives in your body. Is it in your stomach? Your shoulders? Your neck? Just notice and breathe. Now imagine holding that story in your hands as if it were written on the pages of a book. See the words clearly. And now in your mind's eye, place that book into the radiant light of spirit. And as you do, watch the words fade, dissolving into the light. It leaves the pages of your book blank. And on that page, on that blank page, Spirit writes a new story. A story that's aligned with the truth of who you truly are. Hear these words as Spirit writes them on your heart. I am whole. I am loved. I am free. I am guided. And I am enough. And now I invite you to rest in the silence with this new story. I am whole. I am loved. I am free. I am guided. I am enough. And And as we take a couple more deep breaths in, we start to bring our attention back to this place and time. And as we do, we bring with us this new story. And we say, thank you. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And now let's welcome our children in. Nope, don't sit down. By singing Walking in the Light.
We are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light, in the light of God. Oh, my good is everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Oh, my good is everywhere, manifesting now. Over here, over there, inside, outside, everywhere. Thank you, God, for my good, manifesting now.
We never know when you're going to come get us, but we're ready. All right, so as you can see, we made posters of things that make us positive, make us mindful, and we have little exercises that we did. Elton, you want to read a couple of yours that you wrote? Read the negative and the positive. Here's the mic.
Wait, which one do I read?
Whichever one you want.
I hate making mistakes, and that's the negative, and then the positive is I'll try my best.
And Roy, what did you say? He said, I'll never be good at this. He said, I'm going to practice, practice, and practice.
Wow.
And Pammy says that her negative one would be, I hate making mistakes, but her positive one is, making mistakes is how I learn.
I guess we weren't the only ones talking about rewriting our stories, huh? Isn't that wonderful? Okay, so let us raise our palms as we bless our children. Together, we love you, we bless you, and we behold the Christ in you. Thank you so much. And now is our time to give back. And you should find, if you give electronically, you should find one of these little pieces of paper either under your seat or in the seat back in front of you. And so take that piece of paper if you give electronically. And if you don't, there's lots of ways to give, through Zelle or through a check or whatever the way is. Know that Unity of the White Mountains gives back. We believe in tithing. And so we give to Meals on Wheels, the White Mountain Coalition Against the Homelessness, Camp Tadier, and then all of the different Unity organizations. So as we give, we return. It is returned back to us. So let's take a moment and either take your slip or your gift, whatever it is that in your hand, and let us bless it. We fill it with God's abundant love. And we release it with joy, knowing that we are planting seeds of abundance for ourselves, for our church, and our world. And please join me as we say together our affirmation. Divine substance flows through me, blessing and multiplying all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give, and all that I receive. And now you can place your gift into one of these bowls, and if you're unable to do that, just raise your hand and one of our greeters will come and get your gift. And please join us in singing our song.
If you want love, give love. If you want more joy, give joy. If you want more peace, give peace. If you want more, give. If you want more, give. If you want more money, give your money. If you want more friends, be a friend. If you want more friends, be a friend. If you want more, give. If you want more, give. When you give, you receive. It's as simple as that. There's no effort, there's no struggle. It's just a simple fact. If you want more change, be a change. If you want more truth, tell the truth. If you want more gratitude, give thanks. And if you want more, give. If you want more, give.
Please join me as we bless our gifts. Infinite source of good, we give thanks for these gifts and the generous hearts that offer them. May each be a gift, a seed of love, planted in divine order, bringing forth abundance in this ministry and in the lives of all that give. As we release these offerings, we also release the old stories of lack and limitation. We affirm together a new story of God's limitless supply flowing through us and into our world. And so it is. Amen. And now our closing song is Love is My Decision. And please stand if you're able.
Love is my decision. No need to give up my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, love will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten that load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. My decision, right here and now.
And our spiritual home affirmation. Our spiritual home is filled with God's bounty, endless love, and an abiding sense of oneness. Thank you, God. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Go forth today carrying this new story written in your heart, the story of Spirit's love, wisdom, and peace alive in you. Walk in joy, speak in truth, and listen for the voice of God within every moment. And have a wonderful week. Thank you for coming.